It's amazing.
Last year when it switched. What did they call
I think too is the grub hubs. Some of that stuff I think is
They
just.
started collecting all of that.
Good morning. Can I squeeze in here?
If you get 6 new hires over there, the New Year places.
I barely touched those. They were all
It's here. So what happens when you get an application for it? It's called on something, you give it a big
big jerk.
and a big thing that comes back.
I do that. Like it's a great education.
You know, you're right, you
But she's got a, she hits this side, Dave.
That's so much a joke. You thought she said stand up and she said shut up.
Yeah. Oh, maybe yell that percentage point.
We get the same signal.
Catch them live.
Yeah, I had some live and take him out.
Right.
Good morning, Hendricks County. It's 9 o'clock, and we would like to start our council meeting. Mr. Wathen will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. There's seats up front, gentlemen. Yeah.
There's no collection there to take it out.
Oh, yeah, there's no collection to be taken up. Our first item on the agenda is the approval of the June 10th, 2025 joint meeting with the council and the commissioners. Is there comments, motion, thoughts?
Motion to approve the June 10th meeting.
We have a motion to approve the June 10th minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Marsh, seconded. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. The next item is approval of the August 5th through 7th budget workshop minutes. Discussion, anyone here to make a motion? Silence is deafening.
I'll move the approval.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for the August 5th through 7th budget workshop. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next item is the approval of our August 19th, 2025 council meeting minutes. Discussion? Motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve the August 19th minutes and the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. The next item on our agenda is starting with old business. And the first item is the report from the subcommittee on payroll matters. And our, Rhonda, if you would lead us in that, please.
Sure. So at last month's council meeting, it was agreed that a subcommittee should be appointed to review the practice of payroll changes. That subcommittee met on September 10th. The members were Councilmember Hessen, Parsons, and Wyeth, and advisors Hughes and Stark. The result of the work of the subcommittee, they met for about 3 hours. We all met in a public meeting for 3 hours, was a recommendation to propose an amendment to the salary ordinance. And I think all of you have a copy of that. And then also it approved with the salary ordinance Exhibit B, which is titled Policies and Procedures for Employee Evaluation and Compensation. Just some of the key points from the subcommittee's recommendation. We found that there was a lot of use of terminology that wasn't consistent. So if we could define some terms that we could all understand what we meant when we were talking about these words, that clear definitions were needed for key terminology. And then also that further guidance needs to be published and circulated so that everyone can better understand what local laws are and state laws. So we also recommended, the committee recommended that the ordinance directs that the changes in the policy and procedures exhibit be amended into the employee manual, and that the amount appropriated for an employee's pay should not be higher than the amount the employee will actually receive during the budget year. So we defined a term called base salary, and then a term that we started to call performance pay, but now we've talked about a little bit more that it should be bonus pay, and that those two things together make up an employee's total salary, total pay. The council is required by statute to approve all changes in compensation by a majority vote. That's in the Indiana law. Just something that we need to remind ourselves that any change in compensation has to come before the council and for a vote. The wage schedule should be adjusted each year to incorporate COLA. So as you know, this past year, or this past budget session, there's a 3% increase in COLA for the next budget year in 2026. And that the wage schedule, which some people would call that the salary matrix, or it's basically the chart that's approved with the salary ordinance that gives the range between minimum and maximum. There's also a midpoint number in there for reference, but that wage schedule, when the COLA percentage is adopted, that wage schedule would then be moved up with the COLA percentage. So each year we would have a brand new wage schedule that reflected that COLA increase. Also, that a new hire's starting salary can be anywhere within the minimum and the maximum on that wage schedule for the graded position, and that council approval is required, and an additional appropriation may be required when a new hire is brought in at the midpoint. So midpoint is just a number of reference, but for instance, if you had a vacant line where no one was in that position, knowing what number to plug into that vacant line for purposes of approving the budget, we would use the midpoint number for that. But that does not mean that a starting new hire would have to come in at the midpoint. That was just a point of reference. But if the salary is more than the midpoint, then you would need to come before council to get that additional appropriation on that line in order to pay the new hire the starting salary that's been requested. Also, now we're calling it bonus pay. The committee recommended that be tied to the employee evaluations that are done each year. The evaluation period is during the month of May. And so by the end of the month of May, each employee has done a self-assessment, and then also the employee supervisor has done an assessment as well. And there is a grade on 4 different areas from 1 to 4. So that scoring that is on the evaluation needs to be tied to the pay that's actually given for performance or as a bonus, because we need verifiable numbers to show why someone was given the amount of increase that they were given. They need to be able to show that on paper. So there was a worksheet developed. We're calling it now the bonus pay worksheet that it's in your packet, that works off of a 20-point score, so that, for instance, when The 1% performance pay that we called it performance pay, I think now we're gonna start calling it bonus pay, was awarded for this next budget year, that each employee would have that 1% calculated on their base salary, and then that amount would be divided by the 20 points. The 20 points are for performance, accountability, integrity, and teamwork in those categories. And then there's also one for length of service, which is a 1 to 4. So you can get up to 4 points. 1 point for 1 to 3 years of service, 2 points for 4 to 6 years of service, 3 points for 7 to 9 years of service, and 4 points for 10 years of service. Then you multiply that final score in those categories by the factor that we get by taking the total salary by the percentage, and you can calculate the bonus pay for the year. So it was kind of a mathematical way of showing on paper how the bonus pay is being paid, verifiable on paper, tied to the evaluation. The next recommendation was for new hires should undergo a 6-month evaluation and receive bonus pay at that time, after an additional appropriation by the council, that would likely be needed. This would allow a couple things. One is that there was a practice happening that some supervisor would like to give their employee a bump in salary, we called it a merit bump, after 90 days, after that 90-day probation period. If they were doing a good job, it was a way of kind of showing them that they were on the right track. The committee felt like there was a necessity to give some feedback to a new hire when they completed 6 months of service with the county, just to give them let them know how they're doing, and at that time do their evaluation on the worksheet through the evaluation process, and then do the worksheet, so that at that time the employee could receive a performance pay after 6 months, which would then resolve the problem of doing the 90-day merit bump, and I think the discussion was to take that away. But this would then have all 6-month new hires go through a performance evaluation at that time, so that they could get back on the cycle of the regular annual evaluation process. The next recommendation was a mid-year request for changes to employee compensation. When the employee remains in the same position, should be prohibited unless it was to correct an error. Really, only salary changes should happen at budget time, not mid-year. It just really gets confusing for the administration of the whole process. And then in order to get a bonus pay numbers for 2026, in order to get actual numbers for bonus pay in order to get actual bonus pay numbers for 2026, all supervisors should complete evaluations. We found out that we have, I think at least one supervisor, that there are 26 evaluations that are still outstanding, and those need to be done right away. They were due May 31st, so if those could be caught up. Additionally, for new hires that were hired in January, February, March, or April, a 6-month evaluation for those people should be done right away, so that they can now get on the track for evaluation and be eligible for bonus pay in 2026. I'll stop right there and see if anybody wants to have a discussion about anything that's in the Exhibit B that was put together, because that's definitely a fluid document that's open for change. We just prepared it in the way that it came from the subcommittee, but it's definitely open for discussion. So I'll stop right there and see if there's any comments.
Do any members of the council have comments on this?
I do.
Go ahead, Eric.
I still have a serious issue with the whole performance, wanting to pay it out lump sum and call it a bonus. The reason for performance pay is to help the high performers continue to separate themselves from the people who aren't high performers. If you pay it out once a year and it's not part of their salary going forward, then it's a bonus. It's not a performance pay increase. I get frustrated from coming from the corporate world to where managers manage their people, they give them the raise they think they need to have, and then management signs off on it. I don't know what the disconnect is going from that world to this building. I don't know if it's the managers don't want to manage, if they can't manage, but it seems like we're always trying to change things because people know what the intent of the rules are, but they're always trying to find a way to go around them. And it's frustrating. Though I'm sure there are departments that are being run great and they're using these tools to help give their high-performing employees higher pay and separate and differentiate them from the people that are, I'm sure, doing an okay job, but you want to reward your higher-paid people, your higher-performing people. It seems ridiculous to me that we have to do this, and I'm very upset that it was proposed to us to be changed to a once a year and not included in your thing for the performance pay. That's my biggest thing, is this should not be this hard. And it is because people are either unwilling to learn how to do it right, or they don't want to do it, what the intent of the whole process is, and it's very frustrating.
I totally agree with what Eric's saying, but in our situation in county government, 90% gave everybody an equal. And because everybody wants their own employees to make more, period. And it's for high performance. To me, you'd have one or two in a department, not everybody getting it. So it's a problem, but I don't know how we fix it other than to set some firm rules. Because the managers are not, is it appropriate to give some examples of the wild things that managers did? Like somebody would have a high score in their evaluation and get no performance. And somebody with a low score gets a big performance. So you look at those examples and it's just all over the place, and it's very difficult to manage because we basically have 25 companies really trying to do it separately, and I don't know, it's frustrating. I've been frustrated, y'all know that, but.
And so the work of the subcommittee, we did look at some of the things that were happening as examples. We all came to the conclusion that there just wasn't clear guidance and that more guidance needed to be given. But this packet was prepared for the subcommittee, and we went through these slides that started out with your statutory authority for the council to set salaries and compensation and fix the number of employees. We went through terminology, and then we started discussing some of the examples of things that were happening. For instance, line items, if there was money sitting on a line, it could be shifted, or it was being shifted to another employee. Or when the pool was given for performance pay, that wasn't being tied to the evaluation process. So there was no correlation between the two. So that was something that definitely we thought needed to be corrected. I'll say not we, but the subcommittee. If there was leftover money on, I think I said leftover money on a line, that money was being sometimes moved. The 90-day bump, or we call it the merit bump, was something where appropriation would happen where it was more than what the employee was actually paid. And then after a probationary period, that payroll change was being made administratively without coming back to the council, which is not in compliance with state statute, that you have to, all compensation, changes in compensation have to come back to the council for approval. So it was a matter of, I think, trying to rectify some of those situations. And then also clearly being able to know what is someone's base pay and what is someone's bonus pay or performance pay. I think it was also raised that building in the, I'm looking at Chuck because building in the pay to the base salary, and Larry did a spreadsheet on this, or ran some numbers on it, just what the cost was to county government and compounding that or stacking it, I should say.
Actually, it was compounding. Stacking is where you would build 1 year's performance, an increase for a good performance 1 year, and then next year you keep stacking those performance pays on top of one another. But I was concerned, and that is of concern, but I was concerned that when we add the performance pay, as we were describing it at the time, to the salary, for each $100 that we would increase the salary, and assuming a COLA of 3% a year, over a period of years, let's say we have an employee here who's here for 25 years. We're paying over $3,000 for each $100 that we've awarded for 1 year's good service. And the cost, to me, just, I couldn't justify that expense. And further, we had discussed what we thought employees would appreciate, seeing a lump sum rather than getting an increase that's paid over a period of years, 26 pays a year, would not be well, it would be noticeable, I guess, but certainly would not have a great impact. So those are things that we discussed.
And I would completely disagree with all of that, because as an employee, would you rather have a $100 bonus this year, or would you rather have $100 that is part of your salary going forward every year? I would rather have that, and that's the whole point of this is to separate the people that are doing better. It is not 25, it may be, the cost of that $100 is $215 in 25 years, it's not whatever, 3,000, that's.
Per 100 though.
I know, per 100, so 215 per 100. So but that's the way it works everywhere else in the world. And because I just don't understand the theory of what's going on. It's very frustrating, so.
Rhonda, if you could help me, I don't think there was anything that we discussed that would prohibit a department head or elected official from coming and saying, this high performer is performing so well, I need to get more money for them, as long as it's within the approved range for their grade. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
So a manager or a department head could come in and ask for them on top of whatever. The bonus is just the bonus pay, whatever it is. They could get an actual raise in their salary if their performance was at that level and it motivated that manager or department head to do that.
And so here's the other side of that is, if this is paid out once a year, everybody's gonna see that, and it's gonna push managers who aren't managing very well right now just to give everybody the same amount so everybody's happy. So just get rid of it and have cost of living again. If we're just, we're missing the whole point of performance pay with what we're doing, changing the system if we do what this suggests.
And I think what we've seen over in the past is with performance pay, as Nancy pointed out, some managers, some department heads take whatever that amount is and give everyone the same percentage, which defeats the purpose. Or they give a favorite employee or employees a greater amount, and those who may be well deserving of an increase don't get any increase. So with the system that, with this evaluation form, at least it gives us and the county some method of demonstrating accountability in situations as Nancy had described, where you have someone who maybe isn't doing a great job, but gets a big pay increase for his performance or merit increase, and someone who is doing a good job doesn't get anything. I think as Rhonda pointed out, it puts the county at a risk. We could have an employee sue the county because we don't have any good basis for distinguishing those differences in the pay. With this evaluation form, it gives us something to back up what's being done. And I would hope that with the requirement that department heads and office holders submit or complete these forms in a timely manner, it does encourage them to do the best they can to do a complete and fair appraisal of the employees that they have.
My counterpoint to that is all that form does is it protects the county because you can make that form say whatever you want it to, so you can give the person the bonus pay you want to give them. So all it is if we do that, that's great for the county because it protects us because it makes the manager make sure that stays the same, but it's not a tool, it's a receipt. If it was being used correctly, it'd be a tool, but I don't. And the frustrating part is, as a council, the only thing we have we have the carrot where we're saying, please do this and we'll be rewarded for good employees, but we don't have the stick unless we cut departments' budgets or things like that. I don't think there's a willingness of the council to do that, so it's a very frustrating position to be in.
Well, the stick is if the department head or office holder doesn't complete this evaluation in a timely fashion, then the employees in that department are not going to get a bonus. And to me, I would think that would be a sufficient inducement for the office holder or department head to complete it if they want to keep the employees that they have.
All right, up until this point, I know we've given department heads directions and suggestions and some training, and I think that was why we were having the issues, is because it was kind of all over the place. I really like this worksheet because, yeah, it can be manipulated, but again, it holds their feet to the fire that they at least have to think about these items and they have to put a number to them and it adds up what it is. And so I think across the board uniformity would be better, a lot better that way. And then I see both arguments as far as adding to the base salary, which is I thought was our goal from the start. So I agree with Eric there. And then I also see the point that it could be a little bit higher liability down the road. But is that a problem? I don't know. I agree with Eric. I don't know if the numbers would get to that point, it would be that much of a liability. I do see the argument that, if I do a good job this year, I get money, why am I also getting more bonus next year when I sit around and don't do that? So I see both sides of that coin, and I'm open for whichever way the majority wants to go either way, because I know originally that was the thought, was it was going to be added to the base pay, and that's what they would get. And then I also see the argument of the possible liability. So I'm open for either side of that. But I think the worksheet will handle most of the issues that we had with the department heads on this.
Well, I don't want to monopolize the conversation. You've all heard me state my opposition to this concept of merit pay or performance pay because we've tried it in times past and it hasn't worked in the past. So I have been opposed to doing the same thing again with the idea that it's probably going to have the same result. But despite what I've expressed in the past, I think this approach is by far the most likely to be successful. And despite my opposition in the past, I am in favor of this approach.
Any other comments? Mr. Wyeth?
This is one of the most frustrating, challenging things that I've ever had to do on the council. And I look out in the crowd, there's a lot of people that I consider my friends and neighbors and such, that anytime when it comes down to salaries and wages, it's a difficult discussion. And I agree a lot with Eric in the private sector. And Eric, if I had a company, I would love for you to be a manager of mine. Really would. We all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. And I think that was part of the reason why we brought red envelope. I'm not saying that was a fix-all. But even if I was in the position of many others who have employees, I don't know how I would manage because I've never been there before. And for many people who are elected, it's the first opportunity for them to manage a department that they are responsible for. And so hopefully over time, here's a person here, been an auditor, been in this building, 20 years, was 16 of the auditor, 1 as a treasurer?
2 is treasurer.
2 as treasurer, okay,
24
sorry.
years.
All right. That even goes back to the next generation.
I know.
Back to the 1900s. But,
2000.
okay, 2000, all right, thanks. But this is a very difficult thing, and I've heard comments from folks who said, performance is great, but when you spread it out over 26 pay periods, it's basically we're giving everybody a free lunch every pay period. And yes, Eric, I agree with you. If you did do it in one lump sum, it's a bonus pay. But I also look at this too, that when we have a wage schedule, I'm concerned that if we continue to compound the performance pay, then we're going to be bumping up in a short time. We're going to be bumping up to the very top end of the wage schedule. And I know we have some employees that are already there. And part of that is I thought to that when someone brought it to my attention, I thought there's no possible way for no longer we've been doing this. But when we peel back and go back a few years, part of that is because we had some people that was at a higher rate when we set those grades. And we, as a council, made a very distinct decision that we were not going to lower anybody's pay. So some folks came in, if they was graded at a 26, they were already at the top end of the scale. So we can't even give those folks a performance pay to where now if we do this, then that will take care of them. Now through attrition, that will fix itself as they retire or if they take another job. But I have a little concerns to Larry Hessen's part. How long can we take this wage schedule from the minimum to the max and you start compounding that over the years? When will we, when I say we as the council, maybe not this council, but we as the council, when will you be maximizing to the max? And that could be a very big concern. And when you look at Madam Auditor and former Auditor, I think our payroll this year is 32 million. So at 1%, you're looking at 330,000. So it's $1,000 a day. It's going to cost us to do performance when you add the benefits back in. When you look at 3% COLA, it's another $1 million plus benefits. So probably with what we're trying to do for the upcoming year, 3% COLA, 1% performance, benefits and such, this is $1.5 million plus decision that we make on behalf of the county taxpayers.
And just on the wages.
Just
Little
wages
loan
pretty
adding
much.
in the
Yeah.
benefits.
So I get it, Eric, exactly what you're saying, buddy. I do. I just hope that some of our employees might see, you throw a stack of $10,000 out here on the table and a lot of people think that's $1 million and it's still $10,000, whether it's in a check or whether it's in your checking account or whether it's $100 bills. And people look at that and I think that will look, our employees would say, thank you, I'd appreciate my $500 in a one payment. And I think a few years ago when we did a stipend, we did that as a separate thing, and I don't want to call this a stipend, by the way. But we did that to where employees would get 3 paychecks in a row. They'd get their normal payroll, then they'd get their stipend, then they'd get the next one. And I would like to see us do that to where maybe it'd be at the end of the year, so employees could see that if they got their evaluation handled in the year of '26, then they would get paid in December of '26, whatever that amount of money is. Hopefully that would be something that they could really enjoy for the holidays and such. And Eric, to your point, maybe we need to try this so we can figure out what in the world's gonna happen with the future of the legislature, on what our income is gonna look like in the future. But as close as I keep thinking we should kick off the training wheels on this thing, it seems like we gotta take it back to the garage and put training wheels back on it. So I don't have all the answers, but this has been one of the most challenging things. It's been the most challenging thing I've ever had to deal with in my life, really, because it's about people. It's about people. And you wanna try to do the right thing.
I'll say something else. My big complaint, and Eric and I have talked many times and emailed back and forth many times, and we are still friends, and will remain friends. I was, like Larry, I was not in favor because we both had the history of seeing how it, because this is just what happens. I wish it could be the other way, but this is just what happens. And we have no stick to make the managers apply it the way we think it should be applied. My big thing was separating the wage scale separate. It has to be separate. The problem we've got going on now, we could have seen that sooner, but when it's all combined, I couldn't recognize anything. And it's extremely difficult to manage. So I gave up on fighting the performance fight. We got performance, but we got to get back to the wage scale, and I think Rhonda, that was one of Rhonda's recommendation. Now, the employee still gets their benefits based on whatever. They would get their perf based on whatever their performance was. That was handed separately. It's all added together. They will pay taxes on that, and they will get their perf
Their
and other.
W-2 will still be the same.
All right, so if they get money, it's going to be through wages. So nobody's losing there. They're losing the compounding, but if we get back to the wage scale, I will consider that a huge success. Wage scale plus the others.
Any other comments?
No.
No? I think I'm going to open it for a motion or motions to try to see if we can
Okay.
proceed.
First of all, I'd like to ask if there could be a motion by the 3 subcommittee members to approve the minutes of the subcommittee, and that be put in these council minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second of the subcommittee on approving the minutes. Is there further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying
Just the
aye.
three of
Yeah,
us.
just the 3.
Yeah, I know, it's
Yeah.
just the three. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Last night.
Well, the whole board's voting on this, all right?
Mr. Wyatt,
I said aye.
this is just,
Add to our
just for
minutes.
the three on the subcommittee.
Ron, is the whole board voting on adding this to our,
So
Minute.
right now, that was just a motion for the subcommittee minutes, and then there's several motions here that we'll have to go through.
I'll take it.
I may take these out of order.
I've got a motion, I've second, and I've also taken a vote, and it's 3, and so it passes 3-0 on the minutes for the subcommittee.
Okay. As part of this discussion, you have a spreadsheet in your payroll packet that discusses the payroll changes that we thought that Ann identified as probably being out of compliance. You see that, I'm looking at this sheet. there's a column on the far right, and if it's green, that indicates that there was enough money appropriated to make the change that was made. And there's 17 of those that are in green. And you wanna say anything about these in green and
I don't see any problems with the ones in green because they thought they could do the 90-day merit. And that's what most of these are, and they had the appropriations, but they started them lower because they expected to bring them back up to where they were gonna get paid. So the green ones are the expected ones, they had the appropriation, and the manager chose to lower their pay to start.
Yeah, and one thing, the recommendation of the subcommittee is that these kind of things probably won't happen going forward because the appropriation is going to match the actual amount that the employee is paid and also the amount of their bonus. So there won't be flexibility in that appropriation. So the first motion, if there's agreement to approve the changes that were made, those will need to be ratified and approved for the 17 employees that are listed. They have green in the far column. I'm happy to read those names if you want me to read those, or
Don't waste your time. I'll make a motion to approve the ones in green
approve and ratify.
and ratify the ones, the changes in the in green.
To approve and modify.
Ratify.
And ratify. We have a motion to approve and ratify the 17 members that are on this green list. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Mr. Wyeth. Is there further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 7-0. It passes. Okay, next.
All right, the next one the next topic may take a little more discussion. There were 3 employees that had changes with their pay where there was not an appropriation to make that change. So they're listed in red in the far column. So I think those probably need to be discussed individually, and I'll let Ann lead that discussion. If you would.
Some managers were not aware that the pool was not appropriated in its own line this year. It was attached to each individual line. And so Bryce, they expected to use that pool to give him his performance pay increase, and it is not on his line. And that's I don't know if they want to speak on that, but Dana Elliott was taking on 2 jobs. I think the description is in yellow here, and that was also the position that was hopefully going to get a grade increase, and it did not, so that's a separate issue. And then Kim Bernicle in the recorder's office was also putting on extra work from a retiree, so there was a request there.
I think to not have confusion is looking at each one at a time. And if the sheriff would like to explain the first one.
Yes, I'm confused.
All right, the one with Bryce, where you bumped him from 2906 to 2977.
Right.
And what was the reasoning for that?
So there's money in the pay for performance. Out of the 1% that we were provided, we only provided, employees certain percentages of that 1%. So he received a pay for performance, which we had funding for. So I'm confused on why.
Sheriff, I think that what the answer is there was a set amount that was approved in his pay line,
Yes.
and this is above and beyond that set amount. Even though you had the money to pay for performance, he's already maxed out, correct?
Okay, so he
It is
went over
great.
his max. So I
Yeah.
know he
I don't,
used
it's
that
not,
amount.
He is, but the amount that was approved for his position was a set amount. And this 2977 is above that set amount. So there was not enough funding in his line item to pay this increase. There is basically what it has to do is we have to take that money and put it in there. That's what basically we're asking, we have to transfer the money from the performance base to his specific direct item.
Yeah.
Pay.
So
Is
that's
that not
why it's
accurate?
there.
Well, there is no performance pool in 25. That's where you got wrong, and then the misunderstanding that it's different than 24. Every line was figured
There was a
during the
pool
summer.
line.
There is no
The
pool in
they assumed the
25.
pool was still there, and they were just
So-
gonna from
They didn't get correct information, so these raises in
It's,
wages have not been funded.
it's still similar in
You
that
do an additional.
his amount was set, he was maxed out, and the position he was in was approved at a rate that's lower than 29.77. So basically, what we're talking about is you having to ask for the difference between whatever was approved and 29.77. It may be all, 71 cents per hour, it may be 10 cents, I don't know. But
So it's more of a technicality. Do we need a motion to approve that?
Yeah, so this one will require an additional appropriation.
Yeah.
So we won't be able to do that because that requires a public hearing and notice in the newspaper before we can make a change to the budget in that way. So that will have to be on the agenda for next October's meeting. However, we need guidance from the council now to know whether or not you want to approve this change so we can get that additional appropriation ready.
is that gonna be accurate for all three of these?
Yes.
That if we're gonna put it on the agenda and have to do it in the future, we might as well do all three together.
Well, I think we have discussion for each one of them.
Well, but we're gonna have to have a discussion in the future anyway. So, are we just gonna tell them that they can't have it, or are we gonna say, come forward in the future and present your case to us and we'll decide then?
I think for purposes of making all this timing work, we need to know now if you're gonna approve it.
I don't know that I can make a decision to approve them without knowing the reasoning behind the raise.
But I'm
That's
gonna say,
outside of the
I-
scale.
And I think, and I'm not sure, I mean, I know you know Bryce, personally. He is the employee that everybody wants, and I don't know what we would do without him. I will tell you that that young man comes out at 3 o'clock in the morning and changes tires on the interstate. Come in and do anything that he needs to keep our fleet running and help our employees. Any situation that they need, Bryce is there. So, when you talk about a high performer, Bryce is the high performer. There is no question. So, I was unaware that he was above his pay scale. I know we had that situation earlier.
It's not the pay scale, it's what his appropriated pay amount was. So when all the raises were done last year and those put in the pays, that was what was appropriated for all those positions.
Okay.
So once you gave him this, while you still had the money in your pool,
No pool.
no pool or whatever it
No pool.
was,
No pool.
his pay that was his pay once the original raise was given, or performance was given.
So my understanding was that we had, and I don't remember what the raises were last year, but we had a certain COLA amount, and then we had 1.5%.
3.2
Yeah.
and 1.3.
So 1.3% of the overall salaries that we would to be able to give to a certain number of employees that I have, right? So we took out of that pool
Yep.
to give him that raise. So.
But once
that's where-
you set his pay at that, that's what the county,
Sure.
that's what the county said, this is how much that person's getting paid, and that's part of, as an ordinance and everything else. So anything above that has to come back for more money, because there's no more money in that position to pay it.
You thought you had it. You
Well,
thought you
I mean,
had it.
Yeah, I guess the understanding was we had that 1.3%, which we still have, we didn't spend all of that
Right.
1.3%.
Right.
So, the amount of raises we provided him, it wasn't as though we went to zero on that allotted.
But there's no appropriation for the pool to pull from.
Which I don't know, I guess, I'm a little confused on how we got 1.3%, but there isn't money, and it's just me. I just
No,
don't-
it's
there's
not
money
just
out there
you.
floating around in our
Sure.
unappropriated budget, but that person, like, so, say your budget to buy meals for,
Yeah.
or it's $100.
Yeah.
And we know that there's way more money in that commissary, whatever's paying for that, but we've only budgeted $100. If you want to pay them $101, we have to pull that money from somewhere else to cover that extra dollar in that fund. That's all we're saying. We're saying the money, yes, it is out there floating around. It's just not said it has to go to this place. And that's what an additional appropriation is.
So I
is
would
taking
ask
money.
that obviously what we've appropriated, what we've asked for him to be paid, and I think he has been being paid.
He's been being paid,
For
yeah.
a period of time, I do not want to take steps backwards.
No.
I think we should just move
I
forward.
don't think anybody wants you to take it
Yeah, thank you.
backwards.
And I think this is just some of the confusion, Jack,
Sure.
that we're just trying to iron out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
I think that was a good explanation, Jerry. I think Paula has a question.
Actually, I just have a statement. I know we're talking about additional appropriation, but we can also look at transfers. If there's actually some pay lines that have not had a full pay for the whole year or a position that's been fully, we can actually look at a transfer as well, so we're not increasing the budget line. That is an option.
I think it is an option, but I don't think it's
And
ever
point
good
one.
to transfer wages in general because it becomes muddled.
For point one, I'm not sure that,
Like, so there's some departments that have a position that they didn't fill for the whole year, but they had that budget line. So in the past, I know in the past, and you still have to come to council for a transfer request in a personnel line. It still has to be approved, but you're moving it, and it still has to be approved, so you're moving it from one pay line to another.
that is also for point one as well as 2, 3, and 4.
Correct. So it's still there. You still have to approve it on a council's level for a transfer in a 100 series. You still are aware of it, but you're not asking for an additional to increase the budget line, the budget of the department. That's just my understanding from my past.
Bottom line, though, if we, either way, it's gotta come back to the
Either way, it
council.
still has to come back to
Yeah,
council.
because
So
the
if we-
transfer have to
if we
still be
don't-
advertised.
Correct.
If we don't transfer, if we just do an additional appropriation, the monies that are in the other items are gonna be coming back to the general fund
Correct.
anyway at
Either
the
way.
end of the year.
Yeah, so transfers don't have to be advertised, additionals have to be advertised.
Or you want to wait for Eric just right before we make a motion? We'll wait for Eric to return before we make a motion?
With respect to the sheriff's situation with Bryce, as was pointed out, there's nothing about what we're proposing that prevents an additional increase for any employee. We can approve an additional appropriation for anyone whose performance justifies it, regardless of what the appraisal is on the form. So, and this would be a prime example of a good reason to do that.
In reference to the three in red, the one in the sheriff's office, one in the assessor's office, and one in the recorder's office, I make a motion that they proceed with the process of going through appropriations to approve those.
Second.
We have a motion to proceed on the appropriations for all three. We have a second.
Okay, hold on a minute. We're gonna need to know what amount you're agreeing to.
We're not agreeing to anything. We're saying we want them to request an additional appropriation for that line. So we can have the public hearing, so we can have discussion of what's going on.
Right, okay. The reason why what we were hoping to accomplish was that we would get an Exhibit B, because we're running up against budget time. So we're hoping that you'll give us some firm direction on what numbers to plug in for these people. We have an Exhibit B that will be swapped out, I'm sorry, it's Exhibit A. We want to replace with the current Exhibit A on the salary ordinance, so that now we have real numbers. And the previous Exhibit A only listed the maximum amount on the wage schedule. So we want to be able to put in the real number that's going to be plugged in there. That will require us to make some modifications if we do it that way to that exhibit. So just wanting you to know that if we wait on these three, we may have to make a change in those numbers.
But I mean, we can't approve them without having an additional appropriation for
Right, that's
lines.
right, but some direction, I was hoping to get some direction from that
My
today.
instant reaction is deny them all because they didn't follow the process. It's breaking Indiana code by doing this.
Let me ask Ann a question.
It's not that I have anything against anybody, it's just, it's not,
Is this, you told us that the ones in red did not have appropriation. So are you wanting an additional appropriation, or are you wanting to, is there a way to do a transfer?
Well, he just explained the Bryce thing. They assumed there was a pool, there wasn't. So I understood that. And Kim, she had asked me, Laura had asked me directly if she could do that because she's drawing from the retirees thing. And I made a mistake. I said, yes, you could do that because it was budget time and she was preparing for the next year's performance pay. So Kim's made sense to me because she's doing the work of two people. And she wanted to prepare her for the next year until they filled that spot. They don't have the appropriation, but there are people in their group that do have extra money because they've left and they were not paid. So we can do transfers. I know Nancy doesn't want to do that, so.
none of this will be able to happen next year going forward because this all goes away. So this is a one-time deal and it's over. So anybody that wants to,
Okay,
The
so,
preferable thing is not to do wage transfers. It used to be a hard no. I came with somebody to get a raise when they made $8 an hour, and it was a hard no. And they walked out the door. It was always a hard no. You don't take money from another line. So, they can move from supplies, or you can do it. It just creates
and my question is, will this require an additional appropriation or a transfer? Because one has to have a hearing and one doesn't.
They could all technically do a transfer if they wanted to do a transfer.
So what does the
We
council
have,
want to do?
wait a minute, we got a motion on the floor in a second. More discussion on this, I think.
I'm like Eric, I think these are all hard no's. I probably would vote for them because I am totally an employee person. These were drawn against these never should have been done in payroll if they didn't have a reallocation of funds resolution or a additional appropriation resolution. You got to do a corresponding entry. They never should have been done. So it's easy, okay, that's a hard no. Never should have been done, but then you let your heart get into it and like, I don't want his mechanic to go away. It's hard, it's very hard, so you can set them up for additionals next time, but it's still gonna be hard, or whatever.
Can I ask, I think during our budget hearings, I had two employees.
Come forward, please.
I had two employees who were grandfathered in. I think Bryce was one of them. I don't know if that's causing the issue or not, but I had Tanya
You
and
didn't
Bryce.
cause the issue.
No,
It just got
But
noticed
I
during
know
that.
as far as the wage scale went, I think he was grandfathered in on that wage scale. So just
You're not,
obviously, I know we were,
you're not creating.
It's just misunderstandings in the whole process.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think to Nancy's point is transfers where you're talking about supplies over here or something over here, that's one thing. But when you're talking about transfers that pertain to salaries, then you're getting into our salary ordinances and you're talking, to me, I agree with Nancy, that's a different ballgame. So I think anything to do with salaries should come in for appropriation.
So are you wanting to withdraw your motion?
Now, I'm still there with my motion, that these three should probably be brought in through the normal channel of an appropriation.
Okay, your motion stands, we have a
do
second
them both.
for it. More discussion?
Rhonda, you'd mentioned about how you desired or maybe you required an amount for each one of these. Is that accurate? Is that just
At the end of the process.
in order to
I was-
publicize it, saying, okay, X amount is what we're looking at appropriating for this account? Is that what you're looking at?
Right, I'm looking for a number to plug into the salary ordinance for all employees. So these three are the kind of the ones that are up in the air. We can wait until next week, but we will have to do a slight fill in the blank on on that schedule when we adopt the ordinance, so
You can't
we
put
can, we can
in,
make it work.
you can't put in the present amount, and then if appropriation is approved, that would add to it later.
Right, then we'll amend that
You
document
amend it then.
again. If we do
Because we
that.
know what they're-
I don't see a
pay rate.
problem with just putting in what it is now, to satisfy that part.
We know what their hourly rate went up to. I mean, it's here on
What
this,
it
so
was
we would know the
previously
difference.
before their increases. That gets very confusing.
Yeah, I mean, she can play into that, what it is now, and have that covered. And when appropriation is approved, then we just do the amendment, right?
Okay.
I got one more comment, I'm sorry. The salary ordinance is not the governing body for needing an additional appropriation. It is the budget. The budget that's gonna be turned in through Gateway is the guiding document. Once that goes in, those are written in stone. They will be approved and sent back. Then everything's done by additionals or transfers.
The motion is to go ahead and put those three through the process of the appropriation.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm opposed. 5-2. Maybe we'll take a call on the votes. Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm no.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, so it passes 5-2. Okay, moving on.
Okay. The next item to consider is the ordinance to amend the salary ordinance. I think we have a number for that, right? For 30, it'll be 2025-30. And this is to amend salary ordinance 2025-02. This, you've had a chance to look through this, and contains a place for Exhibit A to go in, which will be our new spreadsheet or our new Excel sheet that will list the actual employee pay amounts. That's what we're hoping to replace with the existing salary ordinance on Exhibit A. That's to come next meeting. And then this contains Exhibit B, which is really the outcome of the work of the subcommittee to define terms, to explain what the wage schedule is, to explain how starting pay for new hires would work, the annual evaluation process, and bonus pay, and then when requests for changes. So this will give you a month to look at this Exhibit B, and if you want to change it, we can change it, because we're only going to be introducing the ordinance today. So next month is when it would actually pass. So between that time, changes can be made to this ordinance. So if we have motion to approve the introduction of ordinance number 2025-30, and then to read the title of that ordinance.
I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve
The introduction.
the introduction. Is there a second? We have a second from Mr. Watson.
No, Mr. Wyeth.
Pardon?
Second from Mr. Wyeth.
That's an insult to you, Eric.
No, it's,
Sorry about that. We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
aye.
That was 6-1. Okay.
And the next motion needed is, we need to get some of these things rolling so that we can get ready for the budget. What our goal is to try to get the actual salaries and the actual bonus pay that will be paid to an employee approved in the budget. So the budget's coming up in October, so we're trying to make that happen between now and then. So the motion would be directing all supervisors of employees in a graded position who have not completed their employee evaluations to do so immediately, but no later than October 1st. and for supervisors of new employees in a graded position that were hired in January, February, March, or April of this year to complete an employee evaluation no later than October 1st. We're trying to get these evaluations done.
All right. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Mr. Cox, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Parsons. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0.
Okay. The next motion would be to adopt the use of the bonus pay worksheet and requesting that the auditor and human resources administrator compute the calculation on the bonus pay worksheet for each employee so that the actual number for bonus pay can be approved during the budget approval process.
All right.
I made that motion.
Mr. Cox makes the motion to approve the bonus pay worksheet. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Mr. Hessen. Discussion?
I have a quick question.
Questions?
Rhonda, when we had that discussion last week, we talked about possibly doing this, and I think maybe this be a motion whether we're gonna do it as a bonus pay or not. Was there discussion about possibly doing the 2026 yet this year
Yeah,
with an additional appropriation of what that 1% would be? Am I thinking that correctly or am I not?
I thought that we were doing it for this year. I mean, it's based on evaluations from last year for 2024. And then we would set it up that if we did it by October 1st, that would give them time to calculate. Because we've, I guess, I don't know if you guys approved the money or not. I guess we're gonna have to appropriate that money. That's what you're
Yeah,
asking.
that's,
So they've already been paid for last year because it's been part of their pay.
you'd be doubling up
25.
this year.
So the evaluation period was in May, so it's the
Yeah.
evaluation year would have been June 1st, 2024 to end of May 2025. And that's what they were evaluated on in May. And this would be a computation based on the 1% that the bonus pay would match that calculation. And you could do it in this budget, is my understanding. We still have a window of time, very narrow window of time, to get the actual bonus pay amount included in this year's budget. Well, budget we're doing now for 2026.
And we just have to wait until we're on the 26 budget before we can pay it.
Right.
Unless we do an additional appropriation, if
Yeah.
we wanted to implement this by the end of the year.
Right.
And
I
that's
think for
accounted.
timing purposes, it makes more sense to do it in January of 2026, to give the bonus pay.
So then that would be in the budget year of the 1%.
That way you're in the new budget year.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, passes 6-1.
And the next motion and the last one is a motion requesting that the auditor prepare a revised Exhibit A to the salary ordinance that shows the actual salaries for each position. And this would be for right now, 2025, not the new budget year, but right now. And incorporating the ratified and approved salaries that were done today, the 17, and then we'll have to hold on those 3 and plug those in next month.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Cox makes the motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Mr. Parsons. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0.
And that's the end of that.
The next item on our agenda.
Mr. President, before we move on, I'd just like to publicly acknowledge the work that our council has done. So much has been accomplished and clearly would not have been done without her diligent efforts. I admire the work she's put in, and I just like to publicly acknowledge that.
And I will second that.
Thank you, appreciate that.
May I speak quickly?
Yes, come on.
Okay. I just want to publicly thank all of you for forming the subcommittee, and I look forward to having clear, written, easy to understand rules, because I've received a lot of misinformation and I never did anything intentionally wrong. So thank you for hopefully getting something clear to all of us. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Next is the confirmatory resolution 2025-29. Come forward and identify yourself.
Hello, Council. I'm Joe Jason with the Hendricks County Economic Development Partnership. We're presenting a confirmatory resolution at 2025-29. This is a follow-up to the declaratory resolution from last month for the 5-year abatements on 8863 and 8901 Union Mill Road. The confirmatory resolution before you distincts the two lots, number 9596, into distinct abatements rather than having it in one group. I did find out that the reason for the separation of the lots is that that area in between them is owned by Citizens Energy Group. There is a pipe and electronics that are going through there, and so they wanted to keep ownership of that to have access to their utilities. But we are asking for approval of the confirmatory resolution for the 5-year abatements on these lots.
All right, council, have you reviewed?
Yes, so this is resolution 2529. Remember at the last meeting, we had word from the assessor that it would make it easier to administer if the ERA, the economic revitalization area, was broken into one for each parcel. So this is now a resolution that modifies the declaratory resolution and confirms the declaratory in all other ways except that we're breaking the two into separate ERAs.
Okay, all right. Is there any questions, any discussion?
One question, if I'm mistaken, in the past, when we had a resolution number, didn't it actually say 2025 versus just 25?
Yeah.
So
These were written by outside, this was written by the
I
people
would prefer
involved.
to have the whole year.
Okay.
All right. Is there a motion to approve or a motion either? Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Mr. Parsons, motion from Mr. Parsons to approve. Is there a second? Second. We have a second. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Under new business, we have a sheriff's request to, if you'll come forward. Mr. Sadler, Sheriff.
So with the sheriff's pension plan, I know statutorily, the sheriff, the merit board, and the council have to agree to any type of plan amendment or plan change. And so earlier this year, we found what we believe to be a loophole in the plan, which is that a pensioner who is retiring, it's based on your highest 5 paid years. However, that last year, if you work 1 month into this year, that number can be taken times 12 to give you one of your highest.
Into this calendar year.
Yes, into your highest 5. So it would drop off your lowest year, and so for us, as we considered with the merit board and myself, that's figuring 11 months in that you weren't putting into the pension, figuring that number. So we worked with the actuary to come up with a plan amendment to try to address that issue specifically, and that's what you have there. I will tell you, I have asked them this morning to clean up a copy. There was a couple of language in there where it said him and his. We changed that to more accurately reflect everyone. So I do have an updated copy, but the only change was, I think there were 2 hymns in there that were changed. So I'm just gonna ask for you all to approve this. What this will do is allow January 1 of 2026 moving forward, anyone who retires it will figure their highest 5 consecutive years or their highest 60 consecutive months. So what it will allow is a pensioner to work into the following year, and those months would count if it's higher than their 5 consecutive completed years.
So 5 complete.
Yes, yes, that's right. So it more accurately reflects a pensioner who actually, for the months that they're actually paying into the pension and working. So again, allowing a pensioner to gain a high 5 years for 11 months that they didn't work for the sheriff's office, we don't believe is appropriate. And so this more accurately reflects the actual months that you work to reflect what your pension payment would be.
And for clarification, it would include something like if they got a payout during that last month, they got a payout, say,
It
for
does,
accumulated PTO time.
Yeah, there's no change there.
Well, but I'm not saying that, I'm saying
Yeah.
they might utilize that to help calculate the full year salary if they get that funding.
Yeah, it was my understanding this was set up this way because there was a concern that people would leave at the end of the year if they weren't allowed to earn into the next year. There are other plans that have switched to this language for the same reason. So again, not trying to punish not accurately calculate their numbers, but to work 1 month to be figured times 12 is not an accurate reflection of what you made as an employee, so.
Is there questions or discussion?
So Jack, by doing this by months, this just gets you more accurate, because you can have a deputy come on in the middle of the year, they want to retire maybe on basically an anniversary date or something like that. And I think also too, that's sort of following a little bit maybe what the state police did here recently?
I'm not sure on the state specifically, but yes, it does take your 5 completed years. Again, 10 years to get vested to begin with. So they've got to have at least 10 years on to be vested to be able to have a pension with us. And percentages are based off of that. But this will take your highest 5 completed years or your highest 5 consecutive 60 months of pay.
What I was referring to with the state, is the legislature changed a lot of salaries for the state police here 2 sessions ago, I believe. You had a lot of guys that were about ready to retire,
Right.
and they decided we're staying on, so that could help with their pension
Yeah.
during that time, so.
Yeah, so, again, if they want to stay into the next year and they stay 1 month or 3 months, that could be figured in if it will give them a higher total. If it doesn't, then it'll be the 5 consecutive years. So it's whichever one is higher is what they'll be based on, but it will be actual physical months that they've worked for the sheriff's office and not figured months that they weren't employed.
Anyone else? Questions, concerns? Someone care to make a motion?
I'll move we accept the 6th Amendment to the Hendricks County Police Retirement Plan as
Second.
presented.
We have a motion from Ms. Marsh.
A second.
Second from Mr. Parsons. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0.
Thank you. And then after you sign it, I'll take it back to the mayor board and we'll sign it myself as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item on new business is the Fairgrounds 50/50 match request. Steve, do you want to come forward?
I'll let Mr. Wyatt start the discussion and I can answer any questions.
Come right here.
And I am.
So if you recall, earlier in the year, Tim Wicker and I came to the commissioners, and then we came to the council to present to you a building project for an expansion project out at the fairgrounds. Very intense, extensive study was done a year ago. Actually, I think it started beginning in September, if I'm not mistaken, Steve, and ended right at the end of the year. And Tim and I thought, the whole operations committee thought that we better present that in front of the council and the commissioners. We did so. Now then, we're to a point that we would like to do some more planning on building design and such. And we have done a very good job of that as far as the commissioners and council over the years with the highway garage and the jail. And so the operations committee said, hey, let's try to move forward. It's a need of about $100,000. And they would like to do a 50-50 match and ask the county if they would meet 50-50, meaning 50% and 50,000, and the operations committee would meet the other 50% and 50,000. So that is our request. Mr. Patterson, you have anything else to add?
And the discussion, what we want to do is to start getting concept designs, plans ready to go. Whenever the council and the county is ready to say that this project can move forward, then that we would be ready to go. So rather than waiting till we rather than start working on this now.
Shelf ready, shovel ready.
That's the concept of why we're working.
Any questions?
Yes.
Is there any chance too much time would go by and that would no longer be a valid document
Valid document. Well,
as per planning?
For construction,
For construction.
it'd have to be quite a bit, 5, 6 years. Yeah, I mean, if it's within 2 or 3 years, it should be.
And part of that design too, Nancy, is the footprint out there is somewhat limited to the options. So we pretty much know what that footprint's gonna look like, and now that's just trying to get more defined is sort of what you're trying to look at.
Further questions?
We have a motion, Jim?
It'd be nice to have a motion, yes, sir?
You have to make a motion?
I will make a motion to do the 50-50 match of $50,000.
So we have a motion to make a match 50-50. Is there a second from Mr. Cox? Discussion further? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And food and beverage would probably be the
Passes
best place.
7-0.
Thank you. We appreciate the support.
And food and beverage would probably be the best place for that to come from.
Next item is discussion regarding the opioid settlement funds. I'm not sure, Rhonda, Deb, or
That's Ann.
Ann?
So we received opioid settlement money this year, and we didn't know where to put it because the initial resolution had reached all the agreements that they had in the resolution, and I had emailed Nancy and Dennis had emailed Chase Cotton, and the idea was because the money now is not like rolling in, it's trickling in. So it's not a large sum of money like it was before. And so I had asked them, is it okay if we donate that or, attribute it to the prosecutor's office to continue their drug task force and opioid stuff? And I said maybe just a year or two, designating them as the recipients for a year or two and then reevaluating in another 2 years. And they all agreed that that would be okay, but we need to have a resolution. And so I'm bringing it to the table because Rhonda really wants to know, like, what are the details that go into that? And are you guys okay with moving forward with that decision? And then I also invited Lauren here to kind of help give you reasons why he deserves that money.
Mr. Delp, if you'll come forward.
Good morning, lady and gentlemen. It's good to see you this morning. I have a little nuanced position that I will tell you. I will be happy to answer any questions, but there was a lot of discussions via email back and forth. I'm not taking a position on this request. I was asked to be here in the event that there were any questions about the task force. I'm happy to answer any of those. The primary purpose of me not taking a position is it's not worth it to me. Like I said this in an email, and I said this at budget hearings and workshops and stuff like that. It looked like I got my finger on the scale on any of this. This was a motion that was made not by me, but by somebody else. And so if you are interested in knowing more about the outstanding work that the Hendricks County Drug Task Force is doing, I will be happy to answer any questions about that. I will, and Nancy's probably, not to undercut Ann, but Nancy is probably a great resource in terms of backing up what Ann's saying. The money, they put forth like this basically this schedule that after the first, it just went poof. Not the amounts were wrong, the timing in which you get it is all hit or miss. And so it does sort of complicate things. Larry had brought up a point at one point, one of the settlement or settlees, I don't know how to describe that, one of the people in which were sued, one of the pharmaceutical companies, they filed bankruptcy. How does that complicate the settlement? It is pushing it out. So the settlement, we are in year 3 of 18 years. So there's still 15 more years to go for this money. It does siphon down. Like it started at where you got, I think we're in total getting about 8 million in total over 18 years. 3 million of that, plus or minus 3 million of that was front-loaded, like was already received and allocated. And then from there, over the next 15 years, it's going to be varying denominations, so. Any questions? Chuck?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to know, well, I know a couple things. How many officers do you currently have on it?
So we have 3 officers that currently work. 2 of those are employed out of the Hendricks County Prosecutor's Office as investigators. One is, well, actually, I take that back. One is Sheriff Sadler has designated a person to work there. I said 3, but it's really Jesse Fullwider runs the day-to-day operations of the unit, along with Lieutenant Charles Tyree. They two basically run the overall unit. And then I have with me my chief trial deputy, Brian Woodard. He handles the legal side of things. My other chief deputy handles the forfeiture side of things. That makes up, and then me and Jack, I serve as the director, and then Jack and I serve as board of directors on, it's basically it is the same organizational model that we had before.
Do you know what the intent is for the funding?
I'm sorry?
You know what the plan to use the funding for is?
The plan is the salaries for those 2 guys, essentially.
Your agency.
2 guys from my agency. The original, I'll let you know, but back, it got complicated and Nancy kind of was like, what are we doing here? You know, it's nice to have the wise person in the room just be like, the juice isn't worth the squeeze on this one, guys. The original plan was for me, for part of that money, to go and reimburse Jack, because I had to give Jack a buy-in and said, hey, I sat down and I said, hey, because they do the property room, they handle the property room, they handle now the supervision. That wasn't even part of the deal. It just kind of got, you know, a bait and switch at the very end. I just added that in and he said, oh, jeez. So he allowed that to happen. But the original, so there's 3 technically there's 3 investigator positions that are paid out of this grant. The original plan was to have part of that money go and reimburse Jack. We were talking with Nancy at the time for payment of his guy, the guy that he has appointed to the task force. There's not really a mechanism by which we can do that. So far as I was told, I'm looking at Nancy Nam, so that we weren't able to get that done. But to answer your question, that's the organizational structure of the task force.
And you may not have an answer for this, but will the settlement with the Sackler family generate an initial lump sum to be distributed?
It is possible. So when we made the distribution, this is the part I don't really have an answer for you, and I've looked, like I've tried to get an answer from the AG's office as to why this was. So it's gone up. So to give you a brief history lesson. So when we first had all these settlements and we distributed, got that first sort of round of funding to all the counties that participated, all the municipalities that participated, the total amount that the state of Indiana was going to get was 500 million and change. That's divided where 250 million the state just takes for themselves, 250 million goes and gets distributed throughout the counties. Of that 250 million, we had, I think it was 6.9 million. Nancy?
Sounds right.
So it's right around 7 million was our share, was the county share. That doesn't include what Avon got, Plainfield got, those types of things. So it's just the county share was 7 million. Now, here's the part that I don't understand, is that since then, there have been additional settlements that have rolled in that have increased the settlement to 1.1 billion. However, my reasoning was, well, wait a second, and they're still using the same mechanism to distribute to the money down to the state and locals. But all I saw was a $1 million increase, and I don't quite understand why that was. If we've just doubled the amount of settlement, why are we not doubling the portion that Hendricks County get? I don't know if
Because the state's keeping it probably.
Yeah.
Could be. I mean, the state literally just took half right off the top, of which the task force wouldn't qualify in order to go after any of that money. So, so I don't know exactly why that worked out, but my suspicion is, I would share my suspicion with Mr. Wathen, that is, the state's sitting on all that cash and didn't trickle down.
That's the difference between dollars and cents, Norm.
Yes. So.
Question?
Yeah. My first question when I saw the resolution from 2023 was that the Hendricks County Opioid Settlement Task Force must have met and decided that this money, the initial amount of money that came to the county was gonna be divided between Senior Services, Genes Management Group, BOAOHIN, Cummins, YAP, the Willow Center, HCPO, HCSD, and the Drug Court. So I guess what I was wondering is, what happened back then when that task force was formed, and what direction did they have? Are they the group that's supposed to decide on the settlement money? The answer
Yeah,
to-
so-
I didn't know the answer to that.
So the ultimate authority lies with the commissioners. The task force was established, of which there are four members in the room, I think, was assembled to make recommendations to the commissioners. Those recommendations were adopted, and the distributions were awarded to those participants that applied. I will say that, and I don't even really know, Ann could probably speak into this better than I can, I really don't even know the amount of money that we're talking about. I do believe it is substantially less, because I've received inquiries as to how much. I shared those with Ann, I shared those with Chase, and I said, people are asking, are we now around for another round of funding? I asked Ann how much money's in the pot, and it was 30 grand or something, which wasn't really, I mean, I think there's only one, I don't really remember. I think the Genes Management was the only one that had a distribution that was less than that, maybe. So two, so there was Senior Services and Genes Management, but everybody else, you know, and I will tell you, there were probably about 15 people that were members of that task force. And we met every month for 6 months.
Was Todd on the task force
Yeah,
too?
Todd
Todd
was.
was on the task force.
That's why it took 6 months. We could have got it done in 4, but Todd was on there, so. No, I mean, it was, I will speak for me personally, I won't speak for the other board members, but it was a lot of time, energy, and effort in order to get that sort of done. And I'm not so sure, I will say as president of the task force, I'm not so sure we would want to do that again for 30 grand. Again, I don't want that to sound self-interested, because that's what I'm trying to avoid. It's not worth it to me, you know, to say, hey, like.
So it's still the commissioner's call as to where that money goes, right?
It is.
And then you guys we appropriated that last year. Or
Yes.
2, 3, whenever.
Yeah.
We appropriated, but what happened was, they gave us a spreadsheet, we were gonna get X amount of money, we didn't get it. So we presented somebody's idea from the council to fund it through food and beverage. They would not let us do that, Board of Accounts would not let us do that. So we had to make 3 distributions to each of those as the money came in.
Which further complicated it.
Yeah, and they also allow prepayments from the year 20, I think I got one for the year 27, a prepayment for 27. There's no way to balance it, no way to, it's.
And there was, yeah, not to get too much into the weeds, there was a lengthy discussion which was not supported by any member of the task force, nor was it supported by Greg. There is the ability to bond it, but as, you know, the wise man that he is, Greg Sturwell said, that's too hit or miss. And now we know that it's not coming in as regularly as we thought, nor in the denominations that we thought. So it does make it difficult for budgetary purposes and even to sort of, you know, awardee purposes. Because you never really know how much you're gonna get from year to year. It's just whatever the check comes in, so.
I'm sorry. May I speak? Did you look at both funds, restricted and unrestricted? So he was in unrestricted because he
I'm
bought,
special.
because he's special and we didn't know what else to do with him, so, no.
Yeah.
He would have been.
It's not the first time I heard that today.
He would have qualified for restricted, but we had unrestricted. So he got in the unrestricted. So is there money in the restricted portion too? Because you would become.
He's talking about the unrestricted. The unrestricted had like 30 grand in it. I don't think there's anything in the restricted. I think we paid it as it came in. This year we have 77,035 and change for restricted and 32,393 and change for unrestricted.
So what's the question we're trying to answer today?
I'm here to answer your questions. I don't know. I was told to be here. And that's why.
So you're saying you don't, I'm gonna read between lines and saying for the amount of money it is, it's not worth all the hassle that it, you're not saying this, but you're alluding to, it's probably not worth it for the amount of money we're getting. It could maybe used better somewhere else.
Yeah,
Touch your nose if I'm saying.
no, it's just like, I mean, you guys.
I see what, I know what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
So I say this not, it seems like it's too big of a hassle and there's too many restrictions to do what would be nice to use it for. So if we can't use it in a way that makes sense, let's put it somewhere else where maybe it does. That's my motion. I don't know where to put it, but.
I think we just found out that this really isn't a council decision, that this
Right.
needs to go to the.
Yeah,
commissioners.
I opened it up to the commissioners too, and I just wanted to know where to put the money, because right now we don't know where to put it.
Do we just need to appropriate the money to the commissioner so they can decide what to do with it?
No,
But isn't it all coming into a fund now?
two funds.
As it comes in,
It
it's
goes in
piled.
the fund.
And I think it's a commissioner's decision on moving that money from that fund to whoever on the list. I mean, I'd take it back to the commissioner.
As a matter of transparency, I may have saw Denny come in, but Todd may want to speak on this. The commissioners had a request from Cummins Mental Health that they needed a match that had to come from opioid money. And it was a 2-year commitment, there's not enough money in there now to do it, so.
Applying for a grant, there's not enough.
So, but that is out there as somebody who did request recently.
We've had a lot of discussion, and that was the item for discussion. Yes, sir?
Didn't raise his hand, but,
Oh, okay.
I don't think there's anything for us to do.
I'm sorry.
I don't think there's anything for us to do on that, it's commissioner.
We'll punt it to the commissioners.
Thank you.
Just to make you aware.
Thank you.
Ladies, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item, which is a recycle Hendricks County 2026 budget. I'm now opening a public hearing if anyone wants to comment on that. Yes, sir, come forward.
Sure.
Your name and address.
Len Detweiler, I'm the Executive Director for Hendricks, Recycle Hendricks County, or Hendricks County Recycling District. Our office is at 49 North Wayne Street here in Danville. So what you have before you is our 2026 proposed budget. This has been reviewed and approved by our Board of Directors earlier this year, but state statute requires the County Council to step through the public hearing and adoption process. For us, a reminder, we do not have a property tax levy. We are mainly funded with a tipping fee assessed at the landfill here in Danville. So happy to answer any questions you all may have. Mr. Parsons and Mrs. Marsh are on our representatives from County Council on our Board of Directors.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Weiler. Any comments from our two members? No? Is there a motion or is there further discussion?
But it's open for public now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to close that for.
Yes, thank you.
It doesn't need a motion, does it?
At this time, I'll close the public hearing and we'll entertain, I'll entertain a motion. Yeah.
Just as long as.
Anyone,
Is it a motion to accept this or to approve it?
I think it's to, I want to say accept, but it may be to
The
approve.
final hearing is when you make your,
Correct. We'll come back next month for the formal adoption.
Okay.
Yes,
all
sir.
right, All right. So,
Accepting this?
so I believe.
We don't have a motion or anything, do we?
So it'll come up next month for,
See, it's gonna be on the calendar.
Right, this is
I'm
just
sorry, I
public-
haven't
public
had
hearing
any
today.
discussion about this one.
okay,
I think we're good.
all right. Our next item is a public hearing and concern on the Hendricks County 2026 budget. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing if anyone cares to comment on that proposed budget. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. And does members of the council, anyone want to comment? Is there discussion? Yes?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I looked through these and then I looked through Greg's recommendations for the maximum levy. So on Q Bridge, it is raised to what was there last year. So to me, that's a good thing, but I don't know if that's what you wanted to do, so
Yeah, they looked it over and the DLGF wanted to get our assessment values plugged in before we finalized the max levy. And I told that to Charlie and Greg and they were fine with that.
Okay, so we need to approve this or to make a motion on this today?
Next month.
To set it up for next month?
Just an introduction.
No.
I
Okay,
have another
so we
question.
acknowledge it then.
So these are these figured with the current AV, the new AV?
This was like, based on 85% of last year's AV. They haven't
Okay.
done the new AV yet.
And we're expecting the AV to
Yeah,
increase.
He said they're still working on it.
All right, so we've acknowledged that. Our next item is the consideration of additionals, and I will open a public hearing at this moment for anyone who wants to talk about this or concerns. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing for the additionals. Anything from the council on comments or thoughts or whatever?
I will.
Very quiet. up there.
Sorry, I will. In case somebody wants to make a motion for all of them. I had a question when I saw personal services, you know, I'm number driven, not name driven. So I saw personal services line item. So I researched it and this goes back to 3 years ago, we said 85%, the chief deputies are 85%. That worked the first year. Second year, we merged them all together, which meant the chief deputies got 85% of their boss's longevity. So I realized that when I was calculating, I went to Eric, I've sent you guys an email on all this detail, whether anybody read it or not, I don't know. So, and it's in the minutes that we agreed to do the same raise for chief deputies as everybody else, not the 85%, because why would they get 85% of the elected officials? Everybody's different. This year, Eric says they get 85%, so 85%. But last year, we have a motion in the minutes, it was 4.5. And I did all the work, so I cannot, consistency and fairness is not a good word, but consistency is a good word, that I couldn't figure or 9 out of 10, whatever it is, by 4.5 and one by 85%. I could do them all at 85% or all at 4.5. So I did them all, and you guys should have this spreadsheet in your email. I did them all at 4.5. So, and that was the end of my thought process. Budget submitted. So Ann found that one did not get 85%. I get that. But we don't have the option to go against our motions, how it was told to be fixed, and do we make special consideration for one person? Unfortunately, that person's, it's hard to talk without saying a name, boss makes considerably more, plus he had 15 years in his longevity. So,
I thought that when we passed the longevity a few years ago, that became part of the base pay. And it goes with each person, and so that's no longer a factor.
that's not what the minutes say. So there's a lot, this is one of our big problems, there's a lot of talking that goes on, but we don't do minutes to back it up, so.
I thought we were under the 85%, that the chief deputies were to get 85% of what the,
That's not what was in the minutes. And I went to you guys, I talked to Eric.
I'm not challenging that.
That's the way I figured it, because that's the way you guys said to figure it.
That's the impression I've had, and I know we've had several discussions concerning the 85%. So is, any other councilmen have thoughts on this? Or?
I have one other question on the surveyor. I know when we do our evaluations and we look at the surveyor's salary, we've always taken into effect that the surveyor has a base salary, but the surveyor also has other pots that he gets money from, which we consider to be part of his salary. So I'm throwing out there, I personally think that the chief deputy, because those other pots on the drainage board, the chief deputy does work there too. So I think that that should be all part of the surveyor's salary. Therefore, the chief deputy's salary should be based on all in pots together, not just
Which should be 85% of all of those three funds.
because they're involved with those other funds too. But only the surveyors get money from that, not the chief deputy. So if the chief deputy is supposed to get 85% of what he is, I think they should get 85% of those other possibilities too, but that's just.
You'd have to do that for levels, level.
Well, but the levels are an
I make a motion
individual.
to approve 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, skipping 2.
We have a motion to approve 1 through, did you say 1 through 9?
Minus 2, we're not taking that separately
Minus
since
2.
that's the discussion.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for, to approve 1, 3, and then 3 through 9. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now, number 2, what, are we, we'll wait, it's off?
It's whatever,
It'll get pushed to,
no, it's make a motion, we just haven't
I-
taken action on it.
okay.
I'm gonna have to be the bad guy here, and I'm totally pro-employee, but we've got to have rules. My years as auditor, you'd make a motion one meeting and violate it the next meeting. That's not right. We've got to stick to the rules. If you make them, or make a new motion. Tons of discussion goes on, and that's where we got confused about not needing an appropriation.
Well, we are here at this point, and those things have been a problem in the past, and hopefully today we've taken some actions that'll clarify these things in the future.
We can't do feel-good things, because we have standards, we've taken oaths, we've got to be objective.
That's,
You'll have to give us this, we have been consistently inconsistent.
does anyone care to make a motion concerning number 2?
I move that we deny number 2.
We have a motion to deny number 2. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
And what exactly are we denying here? I mean,
The increase to the 85% because there was a motion in the minutes last year in May or June, because I worked on budget all summer. I told you of this problem and you just, okay, yeah,
I will clarify. While I was doing the motion, or while I was doing the budget, I noticed that she was the only chief deputy that is not 85% of the base salary, not including his supplementals, of the elected official. And so that was a concern, and I asked to catch her up to the 85% with the $925. That would just be the base. I did not know in the minutes that that is what it meant when she said 4.5%. My assumption was everyone gets 4.5%, except 85%
it specifically said chief
is
deputies.
the top. So that was my understanding.
And also, if we go,
925 is just gonna bring her to 85% of his base salary.
Okay, not including longevity.
No, the reason this happened was because longevity got combined into his salary.
There's no
There's no
way I
such
can
thing as
justify
longevity anymore.
a chief
That's
deputy
why-
getting a portion of the longevity pay of the office holder. It just blows my mind to think that.
and in my accounting thinking, you can't give 85 now to one, take the others back to 85%, and they'll all get a cut in pay. That's the things we run into. There's, every day there's something. So, okay, we do 85, then somebody's gonna lose $2,000 of these chief deputies because the pay was more.
My comment to that is that they have also gotten huge bumps because of the 85%, because of the longevity. So some of the people are over 85% because they got their longevity added to it. So longevity plays a part whether you go this way or that way.
But that's not justification to do it.
It's what I'm presenting. I don't, you guys can.
Well, I just want everybody to be the same, but you just said that
Can't be
there's
the
only
same.
there's one chief deputy that's not 85%, everybody else is, so.
Yeah.
To me, that's a problem, it ought to be 85%, period.
And that's why I'm presenting it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion fails 2-5.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the initiative and make everybody even at 85%.
Then they're losing. The
Well,
other 8 are losing if we do that. That's why that doesn't work.
So my question is this for this year?
This is
Yeah,
this
this is
current
this
year.
And it's,
It's done, it's
the pay has
set.
been that, it's been set since last year. Why are we changing it now is my question.
Well, because she's saying it's not being fair.
My assumption was they were supposed to be 85%. And she has not been getting that pay.
Did you read the minutes?
Yes, I did.
It's very clear. It says chief deputies at 4.5. Spelled out chief deputies at 4.5.
There are many ways to interpret the minutes.
Okay.
So I think we should interpret everybody should be getting
place.
85%. If we have one person that's not,
And I think the reason why we made it 4.5% was because of this simple reason, because,
Right.
yeah, everybody's different, so just everybody's
so-
4.5% raise, that makes it easier. That's what I
So-
think that's the reason why it happened. I don't, it's
The
been,
people
I've
were
slept
getting
a
less
few
if it went
times
to
since then, so I don't
85%.
but I
recall.
don't understand why there's if you're giving a 4.5 to the surveyor, and you give 4.5 to the chief deputy.
Everybody got 4.5. Everybody got
If
4.5.
she was getting 85% here, if they both went up to 4.5, it should still be 85%. I don't understand the problem.
It was,
She was never at 85%.
it just, it
Why
was the
wouldn't
first
she
year,
add
like,
it?
Longevity was not included in the base salary.
right, it's because it was all merged
And
together.
and that's because we're still arguing that damn longevity,
Yeah.
which we have said many times, once the longevity was applied to the salary, it went away.
We said
There's
it,
no such thing as longevity. It's
There's
wrong.
no motions.
Yeah.
People are very mad about not making motions.
We mentioned that
I'm sorry,
several
this is
times. Longevity was added to as an adjustment. We only mentioned it as longevity because that's what we used to do it. It was actually a salary adjustment that was applied based off of longevity, but it wasn't really longevity. So once that adjustment was done, that was their new salary period. Longevity disappeared. And I think she more than deserves to be at the 85%.
Okay, the motion that was made, which was defeated, still leaves two hanging. However, what is the ramification if we move on and table that, or we push it forward?
She's just gonna keep making what she's making now. This was to catch her up for 25.
Yeah.
So if you don't do it, she'll just keep making what she's making now.
So I make a motion we approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item number 2 and the additionals. Is there a second?
I'll second it for question.
We have a second to that motion, and we also have a question.
So Ann, the 925, is that to get her up to the 85 percentile, 85%?
For 2025.
Okay. So she's off, that chief deputy is off $925, period. It's not $925 to catch him up for the rest of the year, it's just $925 flat.
Yeah, it
Does
would
I
be,
understand
the
that
assumption would be from the first pay of January to the end of the year would be 925.
So
Do we have any legal responsibility? We're saying 85%.
Let's,
Any legal responsibility?
Nancy has a question for you.
Choosing, they're all treated the same, 4.5%.
You can amend anything you've done in the past, so as long as we're doing it in a public meeting and we're making a change.
Okay. More discussion? Mr. Watson is.
I would ask, if we don't do this, then she will remain less than 85% moving forward as well. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're gonna be separated from now on, so
Okay,
that,
we have
It
a
would be up to
motion and a
base.
second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, I need to count. Mr. Cox?
no,
No.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye. No.
Aye.
Aye. So it passes
4-2.
4 to 2. Mr. Watson was not present.
So, Mr. President, I have a question. Since there seems to be some misunderstanding with this 85%, Rhonda, do we need to get something more concrete going into the 2026 budget that all chief deputies will be at 85% of the elected official? To make that clear, to Nancy's point of making sure everything's in the minutes.
It would be good to clarify it, but I can see the point of, depending on which elected official you work for, that got the longevity, that
the others don't.
there's a benefit to working for certain people where you get more of a benefit than you do for working for people that have been there longer. Does that make sense?
Well, but that's a result
That's a result.
of applying the longevity to the base pay.
So what I heard from Eric was that that's why you went with the 4.5% to avoid that problem.
Right.
So yeah, the answer is yes, it would be good to clarify it, but how do you want to clarify it?
I think you could say the higher of, giving them the best of both worlds. Is that fair? We don't care about fair. We need to be objective.
I think, because if you give 4.5 to both people, the difference shouldn't change.
So let me throw this out, and I hate to use this kind of terminology in some ways, but just say hypothetically, if an elected official comes incapacitated or something, and they have to have a caucus to appoint a new elected official, and that's happened before, that elected official has the responsibility to choosing their chief deputy. So as of today, Mr. Cox is saying, and I agree with him, longevity is a thing of the past. Whatever that salary is for that elected official as of today is X. And whoever the next chief deputy would be at 85% of X. Do I understand that correctly? So it just needs to be cut across the board of whatever that elected official is as of the 2025 salary, that chief deputy should receive 85% of that, regardless
The base,
of
or
what the salary of whatever that.
because we're dividing it up now in the things we just voted on.
Okay.
I would make a motion to continue this the next meeting and have more, because, I mean.
Yeah, we already voted on it.
We have a motion.
Then why are we still discussing it? Can we please move on?
We have a motion and a second from Mr. Cox to continue this discussion for next month's meeting. All those in favor?
No,
say
that's not what we
aye.
did.
Pardon me?
We've made a motion and it was passed.
We already
Approved. We approved that 925.
Well,
42.
We're just trying to get
number two.
clarification of
Yeah,
what the.
number 2, yeah, approved 42. So,
okay,
we're good. There's no motions out there right now.
okay.
Right, so
let's-
the item on the additional appropriation for the surveyor passed 4-2. I think we were now discussing what the rules should be, and if we want that to be written in the salary ordinance, or we want to try to.
Well, and I think that ought to be continued for our next meeting so that we can get some discussion on that, and also we can get a document as that would be appropriate for us to review, to go through that at our next meeting, our next regular scheduled meeting. Okay, next item is transfers. We have one for the surveyor's office. I think do I need to do another public hearing, or was that for both the transfers and?
Transfers don't require public hearings. I move to approve transfer one surveyor, $3,000.
Okay, we've got a motion from Mr. Lawson, and we've got 2 seconds from Mr. Cox and Mr. Parsons.
Mr. Cox, go on.
Discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Passes 7-0. Other business, status of funds, which we have in our packet. Any comments, thoughts on that? Hearing none, next item is the State Board of Accounts exit interview. It's on September 23rd at 10:30 in room 2. And I was under the impression it was going to be a Zoom meeting or a Means meeting, but is it?
She is able to do a Zoom meeting if you cannot attend.
Oh, but.
But the
I-
presidents need to be there in
I
person.
can attend, and I believe Mr. Dawes can attend, so we'll be in room 2.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next item is benefits meeting following this council meeting, which we're getting close to that scheduled meeting. Is there any public comments? Larry Higginbotham, come on up.
Can you summarize what just happened with salaries for 2026?
Thank you.
I can tell you. So what happened was, instead of your performance pay you thought was going to be part of their base salary going forward, it's not. It's just gonna be a one-time payment paid sometime after January 1st.
So a bonus or stipend?
Yes.
So we're doing away with the 1% performance is what I heard.
Yep.
They're still getting.
no.
Yes, we are.
Fill
We
that.
are. We are doing away with,
You're still getting it, they'll just get it in a lump sum.
It's just being paid differently.
but it doesn't add on to the next year, it's not there. They're back.
So they're trying to do away with the compounding.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And I heard that's coming in January 26 is what Mr. Wyeth
I don't
suggested.
know when the payment comes out.
Friday's paper's first paycheck in January.
We gotta get, everybody's gotta get done with the worksheet, Kirk.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Now, hopefully for January, because that's what it's budgeted for, that 1%.
Okay, anyone else? Come on forward, Jim.
Morning, folks.
Good morning.
Jim Murphy, 10726 North State Road, 267, Brownsburg, Indiana. I'm coming here before you actually as a member of Brown Township Board. a recent meeting, there was some discussion, and I just wanted to see if you could give us what's going to happen with the lid. As I understand it, nothing will change as far as payments are concerned in 2026.
For next year, there's no changes for what's going on. It is what it is. Now, I think it's 27, we have to set, it's gonna completely be different. No, would it be actually tax year 28, it'll be different, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So everything is gonna continue the way it is until we have to do our budget in 2027 for 2028, because that's when all the new lit laws from the state change.
So there's basically a 2-year period of transitioning.
But there's no, it's at 100% of what we've got now.
It's whatever by formula is gonna be the same for the next 2 years.
It was not changed this year.
And that is as of today, with 2 more legislative sessions going.
Right. So it's not gonna change, but we're pretty sure the income to the townships will continue both for 2026 and 2027.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, so after that disappears, part of our income is from certified shares. Does anybody have any idea what's gonna happen?
That's income tax. That is income tax, is the certified shares.
Okay,
I'm not sure how townships get that going forward. I think they have to come to us.
Going forward, you have to come to,
We don't,
I think.
it doesn't make any sense. None of that bill makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure it's gonna change between now and then, so we have no idea how we're gonna deal with it then. Because even the person who did the bill said there's going to be changes, so we can't predict what's gonna happen in 27 for 28 year.
0.2% rate that can be adopted for all non-municipal taxing units. And if the council chooses to give to one type of taxing unit, such as townships, the rate can be no more than 0.05%.
what are we at now? Don't know.
We don't even do it.
Yes, it's completely different formula based on your rates, and you guys have no rate.
That's right.
They
That's
have
why
no rate.
we-
That's
no-
another
these-
one.
So they all have no money.
They have no, you have no rate, so I don't know.
So we have no rate, but yet we have to figure when this is going to hit so we can make a rate
All right.
when the door shuts. And, we have been operating now for 6+ years with no tax rate. Because in 2018, the state came out and they wanted to deplete the money that townships had. What the township did at that point is saying, we're not gonna have any tax. We got more than $1 million. Our deficit from our income is about $20,000 a year. So every year, we take $20,000 out, and it's last year. And now it's actually increased to over $1 million again because of 2 factors, high interest rates. And the other factor, in my opinion, is at the moment, we have no bonding that we're paying. So we're not showing that money.
Just to clarify, townships won't be setting their own rate. The rate is set at the county council level.
They can set a property tax rate.
Oh, for property taxes, yes, okay.
And the other thing is, the townships in the town of Brownsburg, so we got Lincoln, Brown, and Brownsburg itself, have a fire territory. So how will that be supported? Currently, does public safety lit goes to police and fire, I believe. So how is that going to affect income of the fire territory?
Fire territories will now be funded through the county when it comes to local income taxes. And there is a rate, I believe it's 0.4%, that's for all fire and EMS that the county council will decide upon whether to adopt that rate.
And if that doesn't meet the requirements, then the fire territory could raise their taxing rate.
So a fire territory has a provider unit and participating unit. So the provider unit, I think, is Brownsburg probably, right?
Correct.
So that would all be in the hands of the Brownsburg Council to make those adjustments for the fire territory.
Perfect. Again, just
In conjunction, probably if they have a ward as well.
Just wanted this.
I will mention this, I've even heard most recently that from Senator Holdman, that some of these changes that they contemplated and that are in Senate Enrolled Act 1 now, they may be making adjustments and pushing that out even farther to like 2031. So we really don't know the playing field right now.
All right. Just if we could get some idea of
Right.
when we have to jump off the gravy train.
Yeah.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Thank you. Anyone else? Well, come forward.
Like Kurt, I just wanted some clarification on what it is that I need to do as, I'm on the naughty list, I guess, the red list. So are you guys wanting me to come, I need to come back next month and present? Is that what you, with all the discussion, I'm not really sure where you ended up with those.
That's what I would say, that you need an appropriation for that.
I would ask that you be ready to defend why you need an additional appropriation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cox.
Nothing much, I think it was mentioned before that the AIC convention coming up in the month is going to be giving Hendricks County an award. So, for the Youth Advocate Program. So, I may or may not, depending on where we can find money, but I believe and feel that each entity connected to that deserves a plot too. If they're gonna give us a plot, but we'll probably need 9 of them, so we may have a small amount of money I need to have 8 more plots made up.
They're giving us we get a big
Oh, yeah,
road sign.
not the big guy, just a small plot.
Okay.
John's road sign.
Yeah.
Ms. Marsh.
John is not a big
I
size.
was just gonna mention AIC.
And
That's it.
nothing. Mr. Wyeth.
One quick thing, this Thursday afternoon at 3:45, the president of Purdue University is going to be out at the fairgrounds, President Chang. So just making everyone aware of that. He's doing his rounds throughout the state.
Thank you. Mr. Waffen.
Just want to let everybody know that I will not be in town for the October meeting, so you have to do it without me.
Part of your house.
No, I'll be out of state.
Doesn't matter, we'll still have a party at your house.
Just have a party.
Mr. Heflin. Nothing further?
Not this time, thank you.
We would like confirmation of everyone going to the AIC so that we can release any rooms if you're not attending.
You have me for two nights, right? Monday and Tuesday. That's perfect.
I'm sure that.
You're going.
I've already,
I'd say Monday, Tuesday, I won't be there Sunday.
I'm on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
you haven't reserved any room for me, have you?
Yeah, when I
Okay.
can release that one though.
Well, okay, there's some confusion because I had already reserved a room in my own, and then AIC contacted me and let me know that there were 2 rooms, so I released one.
Okay.
So that must be the one that,
I'll call and confirm my confirmation number and see which one was released.
Okay.
Just so we know when we need to prepare a check.
okay, well, yeah, I'll pay for my own room, so, okay.
Ms. Alkire?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay. As of 11:13, I am going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much.